smoothly. So you're talking about all your support services. You're talking about your many of your classified functions. You're talking about a lot of the district office staff would be in this bucket as well.
The
PBIS and those types of alternative programs would be in this bucket.
I'm hoping, maybe I can't find it, but I think we might be shortchanging ourselves because where would you remember we've approved we have 38 FTEs on mental health, I don't know, specialists, I guess you would call it, psychologists. And I know we just did $1 million worth about 2 weeks ago or so, 2 or 3 weeks. Where would and I know we have more, so where would they fall in here?
It would be under 3.5.
3.5.
That would be where your mental health support.
So
falls
that
into.
number is actually much higher.
And remember, these are the additional
Oh,
dollars for next year. So everything that we did this year
These are the
is really not reflected here.
Okay.
This is about 14, 15, and what we're doing over and above
Above
to
the
extend the
oh,
services.
okay. So I misunderstood. I was curious.
But
Yeah, because I want to make sure that, we're dealing with school climate, but we're putting in a lot of resources.
you're absolutely right.
So what you're showing here for school climate would be in addition to what we're currently doing.
That's correct.
And that was a big discussion,
Yeah.
because as we've talked to the state, they said, you can do it 6 different ways, you pick. And when we tried to put all the money in, it really covers things up so you can't tell what's going on.
Okay, I
And
see what you're
so
doing.
it seemed more reasonable and more transparent to try to tease out the new dollars one way or the other.
Okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
But I think in the future, because we got some hot items, so to speak, we might want to, when we deal with school climate, this is what we're currently doing, and this is supplemental to this, so that you see the
growth.
Right.
Because I'm very comfortable that we're probably the leaders on that, and I wanted to make sure we're not shortchanging what we're really going to be, what we're really doing, because I could just think just in mental health, the numbers are much bigger.
So, maybe going back to the comment that was raised by Ms. Iglesias, with training of our parents in English, I think the issue is we want as many partnerships that make sense that gives us a good program. But ultimately, the test is, does it help the parents? In other words, are they learning English? Are they feeling comfortable with how we do it, whether we use strategy A, B, or C? And so we need to be adaptable to find the right thing that works with our parents or with our students in each of those cases. And yes, there's a whole combination of dollars that get utilized in that, but bottom line, our real responsibility is going to ultimately be to the metrics that we have to satisfy the metrics that are out there. And as you've articulated before, this is a totally different budget approach than schools have had probably in, 50 years, a very long time.
I passed out a little sheet called LCAP integration that I put together based on the information we had sent to us and the board goals, because I thought it would be good. Oh, it's past one. Past one. On the left-hand column, you'll see our 9 board goals of academic achievement, prepared students, quality academic programs, strategic allocation of resources, clear communication, parent and community relationships, outstanding employees, exemplary facilities, and success focus. On January 14th, 17th, we had a study session, and the board gave some priorities for things that we felt needed to be addressed, and that's what's in that second column. So what I did is I matched our board goals to our board priorities to the LCAP priorities. So you'll see there's a connection, and then matched them to the LCAP goals. And I only pulled out some of the major LCAP activities, those that had essentially a higher expenditure threshold. So I did this exercise to essentially demonstrate how the board has been very clear in our communication and their input to the district, and how it really does align with the whole LCAP process. For example, we have a goal of parent and community relationships. Our board priorities were to have help to train parents as educators and reinvigorate partnerships with business and faith-based organizations, and have a 7-day approach to working with our parents and community. And that's what you all mentioned. The LCAP priority number 3 is on parent involvement. The LCAP goals are engagement number 2 and conditions of learning number 3. Funding would be 2.9 computer training for parents, 3.7 parenting programs and workshops, collaboration with community partners, and parent and community liaisons. So it works all the way across the board. Academic achievement, we talked about, and prepared students, we talked about bridge programs for students transitioning to high school, transitioning to intermediate, enhanced support for special education and differentiated interventions. And that matches with LCAP priorities on course access, state standards, pupil achievement, pupil engagement, as well as student learning outcomes and engagement. And then with that, they've identified activities such as progress monitoring, growth assessments, extended learning opportunities, early childhood education, after-school programs, tutoring, summer programs, transportation assistance, and support for special education. So I think you could see how the work that the board has done leading up to this is directly matched to where this plan is going. And so after I did this exercise, I felt really good about the work that this board has done in setting a direction for the district, in that we essentially were already headed in, you might say, the right direction. We already had clear priorities, and now they match up. I think the only comments in terms of the plan is that I think some of them are generic, like support for special education students, and some are really specific.
Yeah.
And I think that the consultant last week said keep it more generic. But I know the community and staff want to see something more specific. So we realize you're stuck in between with that. And then just the other notes is we had talked about authentic parent engagement and instruction in the teaching learning process for academic reinforcement at home. I know we talked about that through Common Core. I didn't see it spelled out, so I think we just want to make sure that rolls in, because I know we have some generic terms. The board also talked about career and college preparation, talked about attaining soft skills, completion of required college prep courses, that A to G courses at SAT prep, and monitoring progress towards graduation. All of that may be embedded, but was a little bit hard to pull out. And we talked about the integration of the affective domain, non-cognitive skill development, PBIS, restorative justice principles at our other study session. And I think it's embedded under 3.4 or 3.7, 3.4.
3.4 and 3.5.
Right. So we just want to make sure it's clear. And I think in the presentations and the input we've received from the community, not in the plan, but maybe in addition to this, is to relook at some of our policies and regulations and codes of conduct and grading practices, and make sure it's clear. Parents have the information, it's accessible on our website. And to consider a supportive schools climate partnership committee that I think with so much of the funds being focused on goal 3, which is great, and we did spend a lot of our board study session recently on that, it would be great to continue to have an avenue with our parents and community members who spent so much time giving us input to get us to this point. Right. And then to make a plan and turn it in and and not keep that avenue open. So I think any way that the administration could figure out how to keep those avenues open